Okay, in this video, we're going to be looking at one other method for solving this problem here. So here we have by problem solving, and you can do that for almost any triangle. It's break it into right triangles. But there is something else that we're going to be using, and it comes from this same idea, is that if we make a right triangle, we're going to be able to solve it. And so what this happens is we use this enough that actually something comes out of this called the sine law. So I'm going to just draw a simple triangle over here. And I'm going to say this in general. So in general, what happens here is if I have this angle over here, call that angle A, and the opposite side is little a, I call this capital B, and the opposite side over here is B, and even over here, if I have that as C, and this would be little c. Something interesting happens with this. And so according to the sine law, which comes from this idea that we did over problem solving, is that if we split this into right triangles, we're going to notice something that happens all the time. We're going to notice that sine A over A, so if I take the sine of this angle and divide it by this length, it'll be equal to sine of B over B. So the sine of this angle over that, which will be equal to the sine of C over C. And this simple identity here allows us to solve for triangles that don't have a right angle in them. And so here I'll show you an example using the method that we just used, or using the problem that we just used. So here we knew that this was 40 degrees, and that was x. We knew that this was 55 degrees, and this was 12. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, here, if I call this A, and this little a, I call this B, and this little b, I know that sine of 40 over A is equal to sine of 55 over 12. Okay, so sine of the opposite sides. Now, one thing that we can do with this is this identity also works flipped. So I can also say that A over sine 40 is equal to 12 over sine 55. Okay. Now, since A is the only variable that we have in here, we can solve for it. Whatever sine 40 is just a number, so I'm going to bring it up. So here I'm dividing by sine 40, I'm going to multiply. So A equals 12 times sine 40 over sine 55. Okay, we can actually calculate that all at once here. Let's see what we get. Okay, so I'm going to do 12 times sine of 40. And then I'm going to hit equals and divide that by sine of 55. And notice we get 9.416, which is exactly the same as we got over here when we solved it originally. So 9.42, if I round that, meters. Okay, so two different methods that we can use to solve them. Both methods will work. I'll leave it to you to think about which method might be a little bit more efficient as we're going through these different types of problems.